Hello folks, lighting isn't really that great in here. My head's probably shiny, look a bit overexposed, but that's because I'm filming in the garage. I work now and don't really get much time to make as many vlogs as I would like to. Plus, I don't live alone, and the garage here is the only place I can actually film without waking anybody else up. I thought I'd share this wee story since maybe I want to rip my finger. Whenever I was 14 years old in August 2006, I decided to go outside the back garden in my bare feet. Yes, I didn't care, I took my chances. So I went outside the back garden, footed about a wee bit, and my granda has there's two gates. There's the gate that led into the garden, and then there's another gate that led out. You can go in either way. But I decided to go out of the house, in through the gate, across the garden, and then back through the other half of the garden. And my granda had like a cement slab up against that gate. I think that was there to stop people from coming in. He didn't have a lock for it. So I went to open the gate and completely forgot that the friggin' cement slab was there. So I yanked the gate like that there. Cement slab up against the gate, went like this here. Boom! On my wee toe. And I screamed. But I also at the same time suppressed the scream. And all I felt was a stinging, searing pain. It was almost like it was on fire, you know. So I reached down, lifted the cement slab up, dropped it instead of putting it back against the gate, looked at my toe, blood pissing out of it. And then I turned around and hopped my way from that back gate, back to the garden, across the garden, through the gate, into the house. I didn't want to disturb my granny, she was reading, and I didn't realise the severity of the injury that I had. So I then limped my way into the living room where my Aunt Pippa was, and I think she was watching Big Brother at the time. I never liked that, they're boring. And I just showed her my toe and told her, this is what I've done. And she said she heard the screaming and she thought it was a cat. You know, because I was also suppressing the scream. I was 14 years old, my voice hadn't properly broken yet. So she looked at it and says, I suspect that's broken, and the nail was kind of coming off, but it was still intact. Not fully well, but it was still hanging on. And she went into the bathroom, ran the bath water for me, and decided we'd rinse my foot out, you know, to prevent any infection. I think she put like Dettol or something in it as well, to kill any potential germs that could have been getting in. And then she went and got my grandmother. My grandmother looked at it and was like, yeah, you probably need to go to the hospital. Now, I had to sit in the chair for like half an hour, so because my granddad was out doing errands or shopping or something, he had the car, and had to wait until he came back. Showed it to him, he looked at it, was like, well, that was stupid, and yeah, it was. So he drove me from Armagh down to Craigavon Hospital, and while I was in the car, I was in absolute agony, holding my knee, because here, bleeding back and forth, and cursing under my breath because I didn't want to shout. And eventually made it to the hospital, and it took him a while to find a space because I think it was on a Saturday or so, or was it a Monday, and it took him a while to find a space because it was near bummed out, and I couldn't walk because of the pain and I didn't want to risk it. So my Aunt Pippa gave me a piggyback from the car into the reception. So told them suspected broken toe, and then sat in the waiting room for maybe about 40 minutes or so, until a doctor eventually seen me, assessed me, says, yep, that's broken, and done an x-ray and all that there, and then put me out in this other chair. While I was waiting there, my aunt noticed that there was blood dropping from my toe on the floor. It wasn't like running around my toe or anything like that there, it was just dripping, but it only dripped if I moved my foot, and I bent my foot a wee bit, just a wee bit, with as much as I could without hurting myself, like make more injury. Probably shouldn't have done that at all, but I did it anyway. And another drop came out. So without being dramatic, it wasn't, you know, pissing blood onto the floor or anything like that there. When even if I moved it, drop. And there's only 2 drops on the floor. That's basically what it was doing. So doctor comes out and basically says, we've got your x-rays here and your toe technically isn't broken. What's actually happened is that whenever the cement slab landed on my toe, their terminology was it crushed my toe, but it didn't crush it to the point where it's as flat as a pancake. It just, you know, went like that, just a bit. So they basically said that I was very lucky, because if that slab had hit me another inch further up, it would have hit a nerve, probably would have done nerve damage. I don't know, I'm not a doctor myself. So they told me you have to rest your foot, don't do any walking about, rest it for the time being, but after about a week or two, do walk about, bit by bit, to get some mobility back in to help it heal better or something like that there. So they put like a bandage around it, I don't think I got a splint. I don't think it required a splint because the toe, the bone inside the toe technically wasn't broken. It was just there was a wee small bone, in my toe or underneath it or so was the one that was broken, and it healed up all right. So like I could still walk, but just not very well, and my toe felt kind of like it was like a numbing sensation or so, and I could feel it, but I also couldn't feel it. But I can still feel it, if that makes any sense. My grandad took us back to his, and I basically just watched movies, while resting my foot. I got my 2 crutches, and I went about on them, and it took a lot of energy out of me. It really did, I was breathless whenever I went from here to there, not much. So I just stopped with the one, and they said that, by the way, you only really need one. Put your full weight on this here and let that rest more. I thought, if I had the 2 crutches, no weight on it at all would probably help, after the first few days. And at the same time, I was also in a brass band. The Black Saturday, last Saturday, was coming up, because this happened in the last week of August. And what we do here is that we have a parade. So you're in a brass band, you have an instrument, you're reading the notes, you're walking, you're marching, and you're playing. And they wanted to see if I would still be able to do that there with a broken toe. My uncle announced to the brass band about my injury, and that if I go out a step, that's why, because I couldn't really walk properly. Last Saturday came, and I remember doing it. It was actually alright. It was hard to keep up with everybody else because I was the only one with a broken toe. And you'll hear whenever you're watching parades, the percussionist, the drummer, whenever the band isn't playing music, when they're marching, you hear the drum going. That there is actually very important because brass bands and all, whenever they're marching in a parade, that there is to keep everybody in step, as they call it, which means that every time you hear that, your left foot has to be on the ground, right? That's what marching is. You have to make sure, and it was hard for me to keep up with that there. I was playing the instrument and marching, and I kept falling behind, from where my actual position was. And I didn't realise I was doing it because I was taking my time at the same time. I wasn't trying to rush myself, and the band members were going easy on me, but the percussionist was keeping me right, and he was nice about it. Just saying, "Come on, Jimmy, you're falling behind. Come on." And I realised, oh shoot, I was near at the back of the band. Whenever I got him, because I was usually would be at the middle or near the front or so, and I actually was at the second last row where the percussionist was. I think you'll see it in the video. I'm going to show you. So, as we were marching, I do remember, this is the interesting part, that whenever you're at parades, there's usually somebody with a camcorder, that likes to record all the events, and then they put it on YouTube or so. And a couple of years ago, I took a notion, back then, camcorders were really expensive. We didn't have, we did have cameras and phones, but cameras and phones weren't necessarily, up to the standard of quality that it is today. A lot of it was very blurry. You could barely see anything. You could make out what was going on, but not very well. And I didn't have the anti-motion blur, so every time the camera moved on phones back then, it was blurry and just made it difficult. It was annoying. The sound wasn't great either. So a couple of years ago, I thought, it came into my head that I'd done that the Black Saturday, and I thought, I wonder if I type in the date, the year that parade was in, could I find the band? Could I see my younger self, in the band with a broken toe marching? And lo and behold, it did. Because back then, not everybody had a phone with a camera on it. It was very rare back then, very rare. And there was no footage or photographs of my toe whenever the injury happened. The closest thing we'll ever get to that there is the x-ray that the hospital will have a record of, I'm sure. Basically, I typed it into YouTube, found a video clip of me, and lo and behold, it was at the point where I was falling behind. I'm not literally, I'll point that out to you here, where I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And you can if you look at my feet very carefully, you can see that I am out of step in comparison to everybody else that was in step. And that was due to the broken toe. It's the only footage I have that I know currently exists of me with a broken toe. Here's the clip. Can you stop me? Well, you will now. Yeah, that's me with a shaved head. I think I'm playing the tenor horn at that point, because I also played the baritone. Afterwards, I was on the tenor horn first, and then my uncle put me in the baritone afterwards. I felt that's more suitable for that there. So yeah, there's me there, broken toe, marching to Black Saturday, trying to keep up. I just thought, it was interesting. I just wanted to share that their story. The nail on my toe did come off after like a few days or so. Maybe it was a day it happened. I can't remember exactly when it came up, but it did come off. And it was interesting to see my toe where the nail was meant to be. It was all soft and everything, and there was a cut on it as well. But eventually, it did heal up. But it wasn't really that sore, the cut. It was more just the toe itself. My toe will never be right again. I can still walk, run, jump, cycle as I have before. Just it's slightly, ever so slightly out of shape compared to my other wee toe. Whenever the nail grew back, the nail has just never been the same. It's like got these like lines and all on it, kind of like friggin' like it's as if somebody went in my toe and went shh with their nails, and left this big mark. And it's been like that ever since. But the nail grew back, and I should say I'm able to stand, and it's not giving me any bother. But then again, 30, 40 years down the time, when I'm an old man, arthritis might come in, and it's the winter time, I'll probably feel the pain. Hopefully not. Hopefully by that point we'll have a cure for arthritis. Because I do know people that have it, and it's not nice. It's not fun for them to have. I also cracked my fingers and my neck as well. Oh. I can crack my back as well. I'll not do it tonight. I'm trying to get in the habit of not doing it, but so it's more therapeutic for me to do that there. Yep. And my wrists, I can crack them too. My knees, I can crack my big toe in the right foot, and the left toe. The big toe in my left foot, I can crack it as well. So I'm not really doing myself any favours anyway by doing that there. I thought it'd be really fun to share that with you guys. And if you guys have ever had a broken toe or a broken finger and then went and done something, that you probably really shouldn't have done when you should have been resting it, write it down below, because I do want to hear about it. I'm not just saying that because I want my video to get in the most discussed list or anything out there. I'm genuinely interested. I had inguinal hernia surgery within a week or two. I was up and walking and cycling about, and I probably shouldn't have been. Most people whenever they have that kind of surgery are knocked back 6 weeks because of the healing process, but because of my youth, I'm still in my prime, I healed up very quickly from it. Whereas if I had been 45 or 50, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that there. My body heals faster than, what it would if I was like 20 years older. So go ahead, write it down. Hope you enjoyed the video.